You are currently the only person in this conference.
Yeah, I think I can access.
Yes, sir. Okay, sir.
Morning, Mr. Prasad.
Morning.
This is Selva Kumar, Dean of McGinn's Ooty, and a friend of your Mr. Reddy.
Oh, it's good. Good morning, sir. Good morning once again.
Morning, very good.
Yeah.
I was the earlier head of RSP Chennai.
Oh, is it? Okay, okay.
For Tamil Nadu division. I was the head of the state. But,
okay.
I would have worked with many of your potential and design tree people, but somehow the memory keeps eluding me if we had worked together earlier. Were you there, potential Prasad?
Yeah, I was in potential, but very short time. I was worked there for only 1 year.
The same Guru Raj period?
Yeah, Guru Raj was there.
Oh, okay. But somehow, it was way back in 2004, 5, 6.
Yes. I was there in potential at 2007. And 2008, we have started with a design tree. So I am there from even day one. With
2007, I came back to found this RSP Tamil Nadu division. So I came back to Chennai that time.
Okay.
I would have narrowly missed you. But otherwise, I would have worked with many of your, senior faculty. It was always fun.
Okay.
Working with potential. But, in design tree, we tried a few projects. We did work on a few projects. By then, there is a recession and a couple of other things.
Yeah.
But soon we'll be doing, 600-bed medical college come hospital in Ooty. I'll anyway have a word with Mr. Reddy on this.
Fine.
But his health is recovered?
Yeah, he is recovered now.
He's recovered now.
Yes.
Maybe I tried reaching him, but couldn't get through. Maybe he may call me, or I'll speak to him again and then find a way to go about it. But anyway, I don't want to be eating into your time. You please, and I should thank all of you for, taking time off on a Sunday and then coming to help us out on this kind of a. But the news is spreading, and more than the students, the faculties are so excited.
Okay.
Faculties are so excited, and but the students do not express. But doesn't mean that they are, they are not interested. They are excited, but only thing is they don't express.
No issue, sir. From last 8 years, we are doing this. And we know how it is. So, yeah, we will take them through. Not an issue.
Thank you so much, Prasad. Please continue with your program. I will not disturb you. Please. Ani ma'am and Sanil?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. JPM ma'am.
Morning.
Yes. Hello and a very good morning, everyone. I welcome you all to today's webinar, Public Health Engineering. Design Tree Service Consultants Private Limited has collaborated with us and put together an amazing series of seminars on various topics related to building services and structures. Design Tree Service Consultants is a multidisciplinary engineering consultancy company founded in March 2008 by dynamic and innovative professionals to bridge the gap between the ever-changing needs of the construction industry. They are one of the largest service providers in Southeast Asia, a consultancy with branches in Bangalore, Hyderabad, Vijayawada, Chennai, and Kolkata, with cumulative staff strength of 300 plus. Design Tree provides the professional and technical skills to plan, design, supervise the construction of a wide range of services from conception to delivery, such as civil and structural engineering, public health engineering, fire and life safety system, electrical engineering, HVAC and IBMS engineering. To begin with, it gives me immense pleasure to introduce our very prolific guest of today's webinar. We are honored this afternoon by the presence of Mr. Prasad, who is a senior team lead public health engineering service at Design Tree Service Consultancy. After graduating BTech in civil engineering from Karnataka State Open University, his diversified work experience in different organizations as design engineer, Public Health Engineering Service in ACOM India Private Limited, has design engineer, potential service consultancy. He's one of the key personnel at Design Tree Service Consultancy. consultants. His experience in design of public health engineering systems for various types of high-rise projects, IT buildings, residential apartments, construction complexes, hotels, hospitals, and mixed-use facilities in India, with 13 years of experience in public health system. We are all very pleased to have here with us Mr. Prasad today. On behalf of McGinn's OT School of Architecture, I welcome you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for the introduction. Once again, good morning to all. Today, the presentation, the topic is public health engineering. Other way, it's called a plumbing system. The plumbing system, why it is called public health engineering is this system is directly related to the public health. That means you might all know that if there is no good sanitation, if there is no good potable water which is provided, then there will be a chances of the waterborne diseases. So as in technical persons, we have to we will be taking care of those aspects while designing it. So that is the reason it's called like a public health engineering. But in today's topic, I will not be covering too technical things in this because this will not be interested for you guys. Today, the presentation is mainly focusing on the integration of the architecture, the services integration with the architecture. So as an architectural student, what are the things you must know while you design the concepts? So that is where I am with respect to the plumbing system. What are the things you have to consider in the concept stage? That is what I am highlighting today. So that will be our presentation topic today. Okay. So I will start. I will not waste much of time. I will start the presentation. Today, the contents, what are the things I am covering in this is the codes and standards, what we use while designing it, water supply system, sewage system, stormwater management, solid waste management, LPG, liquefied petroleum gas, and high-speed diesel. So these are the things what I am covering in today's topic. So the codes and standards, you all know that for all the designs, the building designs, we will be following that NBC, that is National Building Code, which is recently changed in 2016. So that is what we are also referring for plumbing. The plumbing system is mentioned in the part 9. So part 9 is talking about the plumbing system. And we have other codes also. It says Uniform Illustrated Plumbing Code of India, which is released in 17. And also there are IS codes of SP35 it is there, and there are some certain guidelines which pollution control boards gives, and also the MOF regulations and the water supply authority regulations. There are many of this which we will be we have to give the priority for that also. Okay. Coming to the water supply system, the water supply system, you all know that in our house how the water supply will be distributed. We will be having an underground sump, and then we will be pumping that water to overhead tank. From there we will be connecting to all the required areas like the toilets and the kitchens. And also you might might be you're thinking like, why as an architect we have to see all these things, why this presentation for us this? The answer for that is, see, when you come to a profession, when you start detailing it out, might be your seniors will not be having that much of time to teach each and everything to you guys. So what we have seen in past, there are many architects, even they have 5 years, 6 years experience also, they are failing to understand why this is required for the buildings. So that is where even our company has taken an initiative almost from last 8 years. We are guiding to the architectural students the basics, what are the basics it will be there, and while you are designing your concepts, what are the things you have to consider. So that is where today's presentation is. So coming to the water supply, what are the sources of waters which is available for us? We know that municipal will going to supply the water. Many of the locations municipal waters are not available till today. Even like the cities like Bangalore, even Chennai is also it is facing the problem. The second source is borewell water. That is where majorly we are drawing the water from the ground. and another source will be brought out water. That means you will be calling some tanker. Again, that guy will be taking the water from some of the borewell and he will be distributing to you. And nowadays the trend is the using the rainwater. So whatever the rainwater which is falling on our terraces, that will be collected and we have to reuse that. Many of the states, they have made it mandatory, and many of the end users also feeling that it is useful now. And the last source is the recycled water from the STP, the sewage treatment plant. This particular thing I will explain later. You all know that how the water supply, the municipal water supply will going to happen to our houses or in buildings, whatever we are designing it. There will be a lake or the river. From there, it will be taken to the pump wells. From there, it will be sending to the filtration units. There will be a several filtration which will going to happen. After that, again, that will be stored in one of the collection tank. From there, the water will be pumping to overhead tank or sometimes even the ground level reservoirs also. Those ground level reservoirs, it is kept at the high point of that particular area, and from there it will be fed. So from the overhead tank or the ground level reservoir, the water will be distributed to our individual houses or the buildings which we are which will be designing it. So when it comes to the building, so when the water comes to the building, we have to store that water. So as an architect, you have to consider this storage space for underground sumps. This underground sumps will be in sizably, it will be in sizable because we will be designing for 100,000 of the apartments or in the commercial area of a huge areas we will be designing it. So this is one you have to consider it. And also along with the UG sump, we will be having a pump room also. So we have to locate a space for that. How this UG sump and pump rooms will look? So this is the slide. So you can see this. Hope everybody can see the slides. So this, yeah, thank you. This UG sump and the pump room arrangements, generally how it will happen is, there will be a first storage tank in the left side. You can see in the slide, the fire water storage tank it will be there. So this is a mandatory for the above 15 meters building, and also it is specified in the NBC which are the buildings we have to supply we have to give the fire protection system. So those buildings will be having it fire fighting tanks. After that firefighting tank, whatever that the pump room you are seeing it, the red color pumps, that is our fire equipments, the firefighting pumps. And next to that, we will be having in storage tanks. Right side, whatever the storage tank you are seeing it, it's a raw water tank and the treated water tank. And next to that, whatever the room is there, that is called PHE pump room, or it's a filtration room. So how this will work? The water, whatever the source of water, I explained already, that water will come to the fire water tank. From the fire water, we will be taking overflow to the raw water tank. From the raw water tank, we will be sucking out that water through the pumps, and it will be filtered. If you see the small circle kind of things, this is the filters. Generally, we use sand filter, carbon filter, and the softener. The sand filter will take out any kind of the sediments in the water. Carbon filter will take out if any smell is there in the water or if any taste is there in the water. The softener, as a name said, it will soften the water. You know that many of the places the borewell water is in hard water. So that will soften the water. So that finally treated water, we will be storing it in the treated water tank. Before storing it, we will be dosing the chlorine with some percentage, so that if any bacteria are there, those will be taken out. So after that, from here we will be pumping the water. Okay, so we have indicated the section also for this, how the sections will be. So this is the tank and this is where the pump room. There will be a little bit difference we will be keeping it to make sure that there is a positive section which will be there for our pumps. Okay, if any questions, you can raise your hand and you can ask. Okay, how we calculate the tank capacities? different buildings will be having different occupancy, and based on that occupancy, the water storage capacities will be calculated. The occupancy is also mentioned in the NBC. We follow that NBC. Like in the office areas, we will be considering 1 person per every 10 square meter. This will be changing with even few of the clients. They will say, okay, I need to design my building for 6 square meter per person. Somebody will say 7.5 square meter per person. But as in general, NBC, if we have to follow NBC, then we have to follow for 10 square meter per person. The same way it is prescribed for other buildings also, and even residential also. The right side you can see that 1 bedroom dwelling unit, we have to consider 4 person, 2 bedroom 5 person, 3 bedroom 6 person, 4 bedroom 7 person. So this is how the populations we will be counting for the designing the UGSUMs. Okay, we know that population now. So what is the consumption we have to consider? What is that per person will going to consume? So the NBC also says we have to like give 70 to 100%, 100 liters per head for residential buildings. We generally consider 135 liters because that is inclusive of the STP recycled water of 45 liters for flushing. Okay, so for residential, for designs, we will be considering 100 to 135, whatever it is mentioned here. So we will consider 135 liters. We will be planning for some kind of a high-end villas. There we can say that more than 7 persons will be there in the villas, and they will be using like a bathtub, the rain showers, all those things. So that in those conditions, we will be increasing that liters. So we will go with it to up to 200 liters per head also. That will be for specific projects. Coming to the other type of buildings, it is also mentioned here in the NBC. How much the storage you have to consider, how much you have to consider for domestic, how much you have to consider for flushing. The domestic, if you look at this, the factory building is there and other buildings are there, residential, the food courts are there, the hostels are there, offices are there. So everywhere, how much domestic you have to consider, how much flushing you have to consider, it is mentioned. The offices, we will be considering 25 for domestic and 20 for the flushing. So looking at those, taking the inputs from the NBC, how we will design. So this is what one of the calculation I have just projected here. So this calculation says, if you look at the first the calculation that is done for residential buildings. So if you look at that, there is this particular project is having a different type of residential units. That means we have 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 2.5, 3, 3.5. Like that we have the units. So as per the NBC, we have considered the rate of occupancy 4, 5 and 6 for individual categories of beds. And also we have to calculate number of units into number of occupancy. So we will get number of persons. So as I said already, we will be considering 135 liters per head. So we have considered 90 liters for domestic, 45 liters for flushing. So the calculation goes on. Okay, so that we will be knowing that what is the actual requirement for the building. The same way it will happen for commercial also. If you look at the below table, that is the calculation what we have given for commercial. So we have to consider the square meter area and then number of person. The number of person we have divided by 10. So that means 10 square meter per person. And 25 liters for flushing and 20 liters for flushing, 25 liters for domestic. So overall put together 45 liters what we are consuming it here. Okay, so this is how we will going to calculate the UG tank capacities. This is for your references. Okay. Okay, from the UG tank, how we are distributing the water. Okay, in the UGSUM, how many days storage we have to consider? We can't consider the storage only for a single day because there will be a chances that your borewell might be having some problem, or you may not get the municipal water, or the tanker which you are supplying, they will be having some problem, they will not going to supply. So for that reason, as in standard, what we have made is we will be having a storage capacity of minimum of 2 days. 2 days storage capacity will be there in the project. So in the 2 days also we will be segregating like 1.5 day storage we will be giving it in UG sum. That means if my day requirement is of 100 cubic meter, I will be storing the water for 150 cubic meter. And remaining half a day capacity or remaining 50% we will be storing in the overhead tanks. So if you look at this diagram from the UG sum, we will be pumping through the pumps and we will be like storing in the overhead tank. There also we will be having fire overhead tank. From there we will be taking to the domestic overhead tank. I hope already my colleague has explained about the fire system already. Okay. So from there it will be distributed to where and all it's required, whether it's kitchen, pantry, toilets, wherever the utility, wherever it's required, it will be covered. So this is where the filtration units will look like this. So in the terrace level, we will be having an overhead tank. If you can see, this is the overhead tank which will be located. And also as a mandatory, many of the like states, they have made a mandatory of having an solar panels for hot water distribution. So there will be a solar panels which will be there. And there will be a network of piping. If you see this layout, there are network of piping which is happening here. So because we will be having that distribution shafts, so there and all we have to give the distribution. Okay, so this is how our normal terraces will look. Okay, if any client says, okay, I want to have the terrace like the amenities. I want to have gym at the terrace. I want to have the swimming pool at the terrace. I want to have a landscape at the terrace. I want to use this terrace. If somebody says like that, so then we will be having this much of services. This is only in plumbing layout what I am projecting it. There are other services also called electrical and fire. There also the piping will come. So then is there any option? Yes, we have it. So generally what we will do, if the client says the terrace should be free, and also if the buildings are very high-rise buildings, like if it is planning for 50 floors building, 100 floors building, then we will go with a hydropneumatic system. This is the section of the overhead tank. So from the terrace level, we will be keeping elevated the overhead tank because we have to get minimum pressure for the last floors also. Okay. So as I said, this is how it will be designed for high-rise buildings. We generally don't go with a terrace tank from there the distribution because from taking the water from the terrace to the below floors with that much of pressure, so it will be very difficult to maintain those pressures. So that is the reason for high-rise buildings, there will be like intermediate overhead tanks which will be there. Intermediate overhead tanks we will be keeping it, like we will be making like service floors, and from there we will be distributing it. But these concepts are not really working out in India because we are not having like 150 floors, 140 floors, those kind of buildings are not there. So in South India, I think as per my knowledge, it's a 50 floors building is the maximum height what we have till today. And in North India, we have like 70, 80 floors also. So there, how we will do the design is, we will be having hydropneumatic system. Hydropneumatic system means it's kind of a booster system. That means I don't need to like pump that water to overhead tank. From there, I don't need to take the below to the by gravity. I will be having the pumping, and it will be like a continuous pumping. So with the required, whatever the required zones, we have to distribute as in zones because we have to control the pressures. So to that particular zone, we will be having a pump set and we will be pumping out. So in this case, you can avoid so many pipings or in tanks in the terrace level. Okay. So the water supply system, you all know that IGBC, Indian Green Building Council, now most of the buildings, even the clients also want to go with IGBC certified buildings only. Hope you all are aware about the IGBC. So in IGBC also, they have like dedicated 25% of points for water related things. The water efficiency only, it is taking care of almost 25%. So that you can notice that how much it's important. Even you know all the locations, the water scarcities are there, you know all these things. Okay. So these are with respect to water supply system. If anybody having any question, they can raise, or you can keep it for last also. Okay. Shall I move on to the sewage system?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. When we supply a water supply to the various units or various locations, after the using, there will be an waste which will be generated. So that is where what we called sewage. So how the sewage is treated at municipal level as in today? In many of the places, the sewage is treated like, if you look at this diagram, this will be our buildings or an house or an building. So from here, we will be taking the sewage. If necessity, there will be a pumping station. Otherwise, this will directly go to the treatment plant. So treatment plant, all this sewage will be treated, and the water will be kept in some oxidation ponds, and from there it will be overflow to the nearby lakes or nearby the rivers. By doing this, the treatment we can also generate and power. Okay, and this is how in many of the locations which is happening. We all know that there are like the locations where untreated sewage only directly throwing to the lakes and then rivers, and we are facing a problem due to that. But this is the way we have to do it. So coming to our projects, this is in the municipal level. Coming to our projects, how we calculate the sewage system, how we will design the sewage system is the calculation, like whatever that water we have supplied. So in that 80 to 90%, we will be assuming that it will come back to the treatment plant. Okay. Before proceeding it, I will tell you that there is a sewage treatment plant will be there, that I will explain in detail in coming slides. So that is mandatory for the buildings, the projects what we do, it's a mandatory. We have to have a sewage treatment plant. So all the sewage will be going to the sewage treatment plant for further treatment. This sewage will carry only the waste and the soil water. The soil water means it is an water which is coming out from the EWC or an commodes or an urinal. The waste water means it is the water which is coming out from the wash basin, shower, or our kitchens, utilities. This is what we call waste water. Also, it's called as a grey water. Okay. So the sewage system, how it will work? So we will be having a shaft. So in the shaft, we will be collecting all the. In the shaft, we will be collecting all the pipes. The pipes will be dropping down from the upper level to the basement. From the basement, we will be making a header and we will be connecting to the STP. If the basement is not there, we will be having a chamber system outside the building and we will be connecting to the STP. So this is how the plumbing shafts we have to work out. So if you look at in this plan, there is a toilet where we need an water, and also we have to take out the drainage. So if you look at this, this is where the shaft which is there. So here the pipes are located here, and also we have given an access platform. That means in case of any maintenance required, because these are all the pipes, there will be chances of leakages, all those things. So we have to ensure that we will give proper the space for a person to maintain that. So while you are designing the concepts, you have to please consider this. You have to give the space for that person to maintain it also. It's not only for a pipes to install. Okay. So if there isn't toilets, the number of toilets are there, that much of shafts are required. If the kitchen and utility is there, for that also the shafts are required. Okay. So this is the elevation of one toilet, how that elevation will look. So if you look at this, this is the shower area. So we will be having a cold water supply, hot water supply, and we will be having an overhead shower. The diverter will be happening at these locations, and there will be an commode or an EWC which will be there. For that, health faucet will be there. For a health faucet, the cold water connection will give. For a commode, there will be an cistern tank which will be within height within the ledge wall. So that we will be taking the flushing water, the STP, recycled water, and this is the wash basin where we will be taking the water supply. Okay, and if you look at this, we have the piping which is there below also. That means now how the plumbing system is doing it. Earlier, if you look at the many of the like the apartments, the toilets are raised up and the piping has taken within that rise. So nowadays those concepts are not using it because there is a lot of problems with respect to the maintenance. So if the maintenance we have to do means we have to take out all the tiles, we have to take out all the fillings within that, and we have to make the maintenance works. It will take months together to clean up that. Okay, so that is the reason. Sorry. Nowadays we are going with the concept of underslung piping. Underslung piping means if you look at this is how it will be. So the piping will be below the slab. The disadvantage of this is this particular residential unit piping will be there in the below level residence. Okay, and in case of any maintenance, below level resident will be suffered. But however, we will be covering that with a false ceiling, and also this is very easy to maintain. Within a half an hour or 1 hour, the plumber can maintain and they can execute the work. So that is the reason even we don't have facing any problems with this system, and this is where it's most of our projects which we are doing it. Okay, so this is how the kitchen and the utility will be designed. So we will be having a shaft. So to the shaft we will be taking out the pipe and it will be connecting it. This is the elevation of that. The balcony, so wherever the balcony is there, we have to make sure that the drainage provision is there, and we will be giving one shaft for that. Otherwise what will happen, it will be like a exposed piping. We will be seeing that many of the buildings it will be the same issue. You people will be designing very good facade, everything will be designing it. If you are not integrated this, there will be a pipe which will be spoiling your facades. Coming to the sewage treatment plant, as I said, the sewage treatment plants are mandatory for the buildings. So it's not for all the buildings. You can't give the sewage treatment plants. Even if it is a 10 building house, you can't have a sewage treatment plant. So there is rules. If any building which is having more than 50 in numbers of the units, then you have to have the sewage treatment plant. Any education in the institute, if it is a built up area is more than 10,000 square meter, you have to have a treatment plant. Commercial project, if it is more than 2,000 square meter, you have to have it. The layout development, if it is more than 10 acres, you have to have the treatment plants. Okay, it's called in-house treatment plants. So what it will do? Okay, so whatever the sewage which is generated within the building, it will be taken to the treatment plant that will be within your building only. You have to allocate a space for that. So there, how it will work, how it will function, how it will treat that water. So this is one of the technology flow diagram what I have projected. There are many technologies which is there in today. Okay, the raw sewage, it will come to one tank that is called bar spring chamber. So in case anything which is coming out from the sewage, which will be manually removed from here, and the overflow will going to happen to the oil and grease chamber. So you know that our daily routine, we will be using a lot of oil and oil items or fat items. So that it will going to affect for a treatment. So that is the reason we will remove that, and from there we will take it to the equalization tank, or we can call it like an initial collection tank. So from this tank, the water will be pumped to the further reaction tanks. So in these tanks, what will happen is there will be bacteria which will be filled up with that particular tank. So when the sewage will be pumped to that particular tank, we will be giving an air also into that. We will be keeping that in the aeration mode, so that the bacteria will grow and it will also take the sewage as an intake, and it will give the clear water. So once all this process is done, we will be taking out that clear water into the next process. That is what we call pre-filter tank or a decant tank. From there, we will be filtering it again through the filters called carbon filter, sand filter, and we will be dosing the chlorine to kill any bacteria which is coming out from this, and that will be stored in a treated water tank. And this water, we have to reuse it. When I say we have to reuse this water, you can't reuse this for domestic application. Like you can't give this water for shower, you can't give this water for wash basin. Nobody will going to accept this. Acceptance level isn't, it's not there, I can say right now. Okay, so where we have to use this, we have to use this in toilet flushing. That means in the flushing, it is not having any contact with the human bodies. So there we have to use it. We have to use it for a landscape. So this water is very good for landscape. So we have to use it there. For this is what we will use it in residential. When it comes to the commercial buildings, we have called water cooled chillers. Hope already our colleagues are already explained about this chiller and all. So there also the water is required. So there we will be giving this water, so that whatever the water which is the waste which is generated within the building, so we are reusing it, and we are not giving an additional burden for municipal to take care of this particular sewage. Okay. So this particular STP, you have to like locate in space. So in this particular project, we have located in this is the location. So you have to take care of this also while you're locating. Generally, these STPs are located in the basements, and also it is located in the lowermost basements. We have to have minimum 2 basement heights. That means 7.5 to 8 meter height is required for this. Please take note of this. This is one of the plan and section for the STP. So if you look at this plan, so there are many tanks which I explained. Those are the tanks here. We will be having pump room also for this, and this is how the sections will look. The tanks will happen below, and above we have to have in space for man movement, because there will be an 24/7 we have to operate this plant, and there will be some person has to monitor. If some values are changed, then there will be an issues with the quality of water. Okay, and also there will be a mechanical ducting which will be there to take out the foul smell, whatever it is generated in the STP. So this is the water parameters what we have to achieve, and this is what is given by the pollution control boards. So this is with respect to the sewage system. Now I will move on to the stormwater management. The stormwater management means, as I said earlier, using the rainwater to the maximum extent what is possible for the project. So the stormwater management means is an water which is fall on our terraces or the landscape or an hardscape. How to reuse that? How we can effectively use that water? So that is what it's called for a stormwater management. So this is the flow diagram. You can see this rainwater which is falling on rooftop. It will be harvested. That means direct storage will be there, and it will be reused for domestic application after minimum treatment, I can say. Okay. And coming to the open space, whatever the water falls on, that water, and also wherever the storage is there, from there also the surplus water will overflow out. So that particular water we have to recharge to the ground, so that the groundwater table will be increased. So that also you have to like integrate that tank also. We have to have a storage tank for required capacities. Like in Bangalore, we have the BBMP. They have suggested the guide. They have given a guideline saying that every square meter you have to consider 60 liters, and you have to space that storage tank according to that. Okay. So this is the drainage for one of the site plan. So that is what I said, like the water which is falling on our surfaces, we have to channelize that. We can't leave that water there only, so it will create an problems. So that we have to channelize to the discharge point. Before discharging it, we have to recharge how much is possible. So you have to also allocate some spaces for this recharge speeds, and also you have to allocate a space, and also you have to plan the gradient to slope the water naturally. Okay. So this is the typical details of the recharge speeds. If you look at the first recharge speed, this is an I can say this is an engineered recharge speeds. So there we will be having a borewell which will be drilled. So the water inlet will come to the first tank. From there, whatever the solids are there, the settlements are there, everything will settle here, and then it will overflow to the other tank. There, in case of any oil and other things are there, it will be taken out here, and from there the clear water will overflow to the one more compartment. There we have a filter media, so the water will filter and it will directly recharge the groundwater table. So this bore we have to drill up to the groundwater table, so that we have this water can directly recharge the groundwater table. And also we have other method of recharge is the soak pit. So this soak pits is a rings of the dia of 3 feet, 4 feet, 5 feet. You will be getting this in different sizes. So this soak, the rings will be like made an 3 meter and 4 meter deep well, and the water will be living there to percolate it. So the percolations, it will increase the groundwater table. So whenever there is a maximum rain, yes, definitely there should be an overflow. So that overflow we can give it to the municipal drive. That is with respect to the rainwater harvesting. Coming to the solid waste management. Solid waste management means it's an waste which is generated in the buildings, that also we can't give it to the municipal to take care of that. That is also one of the norms what it is there. That also we have to like reuse it within our building. How we can do that? The solid waste management, you all know that whatever the waste which is generated, that particular organic or inorganic waste which will be there. Okay, so how it will happen? There is an option of collection. The collection, how it will be done? It will be like in many of the apartments, it will be like house to house collections will be done, or in centralized locations we will be having it there. The people will come and dump that. And now it is a mandatory in many of the states that you have to separate this waste with even at the source only. That means the wet waste you have to. Hello. Okay.
Yes,
The
sir.
wet waste. Yeah. Go ahead.
So you can continue, sir. You can
Okay.
continue.
Thank you. So the wet waste you have to keep it separately. Dry waste you have to keep it separately. Okay. So there is an one more option also. It's by providing a garbage chute. If it is a multi floors, like 30 floors, 20 floors are there, taking out that waste itself will become one more cumbersome thing. So that is the reason there are companies, they introduce the chutes also. It's called garbage chute. So you can see here, this garbage chutes, it will be installed in the buildings so that you can throw the waste from here. So it will be collected below, and this will be taken out of the wherever you will be like recycling it. Okay. So if you look at, this is how the one of the shaft which will be made for a garbage chute. So from here, the public or an your apartment holder, we will come and he will throw the waste from here. Okay. What are the system which is involves is in segregation. As I said, it has to be done in the source level only now, and the collection I have already explained how it can be collected. And next is processing and disposal. So how to process this? What are the ways you can process it? The waste we can process is an organic waste. What is that organic waste? It's called wet waste, or which will be having like a tea bags, plant trimmings, raw fruit, vegetable scraps, all those things we call as a wet waste. This we can recycle within our buildings. Inorganic waste means which we can't recycle within the premises, that is the cans, bottle cans, the drink cans, the glasses, plastics, all it is called inorganic waste. There is also called an e-waste and biomedical waste. The e-waste means the computers, the laptops, the whatever with related to that particular things, and the biomedical waste is which will be majorly generated in the hospitals. So that is called biomedical waste. All this has to be stored separately and treated separately. Okay. So how to calculate this waste? For that is also in the NBC and CPHEO WEO manual also it says, for residential you can consider 0.3 to 0.6 kg per capita per day. It's a total waste. And commercial you can consider 0.1 to 0.2 kg capita per day. In that 60% we can convert taken as an organic and 40% as an inorganic. Okay. This is the collection. So now to collect, there is one smart methodology also it is there. Like if you are planning for a huge development where you have multiple buildings, you will be having other type of buildings. There you can have this called vacuum waste collection. That means there will be one area where you have to have this vacuum machines, and as I said, you have to have the chutes, and also there will be kind of a bins which will be there. So if you throw the waste, it will automatically suck that waste from that, and it will collect in a centralized area. So this is also one of the innovative technology which is available now. What are the things you can make it from this organic waste? As I said, you have to you have to process that within your building. By processing, what you can do it? You can process this to compost. You can also use this for biogas. If there is a huge volume is there, this waste also can be converted to the energy. So these are the outputs what we will get from the waste. So this is the typical installation detail for one of residential projects. So we will be having a machine. This machine will just crush that the waste whatever is there, and it will be keep it in the crates so that it will become a manure in 13 to 14 days. Nowadays there are machines which is available which will be having heating coil inbuilt, so that will give you the manure within 1 day only, and so much of space is also not required for those machines. So this is the one of the technology of making this is biogas. So you will be having again the digester will be there. From here the output will be biogas. So where you are seeing the space there, we can have one big balloon there, so we can collect that biogas, and wherever it's required we can reuse it. So this is the location of the project when you are designing the project. This particular biogas and the OWC organic waste converter, generally we suggest you to keep it at the site level instead of keeping it in the basement. Okay. So coming next is the LPG system. This LPG system it's not kind of a mandatory, but this is a necessity for the high-rise buildings. You can't keep on taking that cylinder for the individual houses. There will be damages in the lift also, and also the staircases. So that is the reason there will be piping gas which will be done. And it is also having some mandatory. So you can't store more than 320 kgs of gas within the building. Okay, so if it is more than 320 kg, you have to store outside only, outside the building. From there you have to make a piping. If the storage capacity is more than 1000 kgs, then you have to also have a safety distance of 3 meters between the two gas banks. So this is the location of the gas bank for one of the project what we have kept. So if you look at this, we have to keep these things in outside the buildings. Okay. So this is the schematic diagram of the gas bank, how it will look. This is the piping diagram, how it will go and how it will give a connection. Okay. And nowadays there is a gas piping, the pipeline gas also, which is available. So in that case, you have to just take out the cylinders and you can directly give the connections from the pipeline. The last topic which I am coming to the HSD. HSD means high speed diesel. Why you need an high speed diesel in the projects? When you are designing the commercial buildings, you will be having a DG sets, because commercial buildings or in I can say some data centers or in factories, all those areas, if the power is not there, they can't sit idle. So you will be having a backup of diesel generator. So whenever the diesel generators are running, you can't just go on bringing that diesel from the nearby bunks. So the government, it is permitted to have your own diesel yard within your building. Okay, so that is what the HSD. So when you are planning for majorly the commercial buildings, you have to even consider this HSD also. So how it will look? This is how it will look. So there will be an loading platform which will happen, and there will be a tank which will be submerged in the ground. Okay, so if you see that HSD, the entire area has to be fenced. Even though this is submerged, entire area has to be fenced, because this is an hazardous thing. And also, when you are planning it, you have to make sure that this HSD yard and the gas banks are kept minimum 15 meters away from the electrical installations. So if you look at the project, this is where the HSD yard we have located the space for this. So this also you have to integrate while you are doing the architectural designs. Few of the plumbing installation photos. So this is how it will look in the shaft, in the basement ceiling, the pipes. This is how it will look in the terrace. This is the terrace in the basement. There are few innovations which is there in the plumbing. There are many which is there in the plumbing with respect to the technical parts. So I have taken only few just to show you that. So this is one was called pot toilets. I can say ready-made toilets. Okay. So this, if you have the numbers are more old, it's all like the typical toilets are there. Then you can go with these options where you can factory fabricated toilets will be there. You can just take that and you can install it, so that many of the works will be avoided. And also the drywall installations which is available. That means if you are making any renovations in the projects, you don't have any permission to cut open that walls, because you know that many of the buildings now they are going with aluminum formwork. That means RCC walls only. So they don't give the permission to cut all those things. So in those projects, you can go with this drywall installations also. And nowadays we have this chambers, the fabricated chambers. So which will be like, you can see that in your areas also, if one chamber, if the government has to do, they will take minimum of 1 to 1.5 months, because that much of work which is involved. So now this kind of a PE manuals which can be completed within 2 to 3 days. Okay, by this I am ending my presentation. One more thing I want to just add on, the central monitoring system. This is like, you can control each and everything, or you can monitor each and everything. Like what is the level of the overhead tank, what is the level of the huge underground tank, the water levels are there. Even you can give the individual meters and you can monitor even that also in this. So this is also one of the thing and which is picking up in the market nowadays. Okay, thank you. By this I am closing my presentation. Exactly, it's at 12 o'clock. So if any questions are there, it's welcome.
Thank you, sir, for an elaborate explanation on public health service, focusing on water requirement calculation, terrace level systems for water supply for mid-rise and high-rise building, which was in par with what our third years are working on. Using site drawings to further explain the plumbing details, sewerage treatment plants, focusing on stormwater drainage for overall site, and also getting into the details. Solid waste management, biogas plant, LPG, high-speed diesel, plumbing installation, and also the innovations in the industry, especially integrating it with architecture. It was a full circle, sir. Thank you for that. And now the forum is open for questions. In case of any questions, you can either voice out in your mic as well as type it in the public chat box.
Good morning, sir. This is Rajagopalan, one of the faculty members. Sir, I want you to talk about mainly two things since the third years are working on high-rise building.
Okay.
One is like calculating the number of tanks. We might calculate the liters capacity. Do you want them to like how much you want to store in one tank? Do you want to complete it within one tank, or you are suggesting them to go for multiple tanks?
Sir, if the capacity is below 100 cubic meter, that means 1 lakh of liter, you can have a single tank. If it is going behind that, it is always better to have a partition. It will be a single tank only with a partition, so that it will be easy for a maintenance purpose. That means if I have to clean the tank, I can close one tank and I can operate other tank. And also, if the projects are big, that means if you have 20 towers, 25 towers, that kind of projects, then I always prefer to go with the individual, like clustered tanks. Instead of making the entire in one tank, you can make it like 4 towers. You can have one tank, one set of tank, another 4 you can have one set of tanks. That is how it will be efficient way to design it.
Yes, sir. And one more for residential projects, small residential projects. Very common question only, but still I want to make it clear. We are constructing nowadays like 5-bedroom residence or 6-bedroom residence. The whole house serves for only one family.
Okay.
And say how there do you suggest to have separate tanks, like for each floor separately or each zone separately? How it which is better, sir? And one more thing is like, do you want to go for a RCC or any solid tank, or like the plastic tanks we have, UPVC tanks, PVC tanks?
Okay.
Which is better? 2 parts, sir. 2 questions.
Fine. So what I understood is you are talking about it's an apartment. Within that apartment, 5 or 4 bedroom units, correct? Or an individual house?
No, sir. Individual villa, which 4 to 5 bedrooms.
Okay, fine. Sir, individual villa, even I will say like, okay, it's a bungalow. Okay.
Yes.
One of the bungalow for only for one resident.
Yes.
You should have UGSUM. You should have a UGSUM because, as I said already, you have to have a storage within your premises. Okay. And from there, you have to pump that water to the overhead tank, or you can directly take this to the booster system also. Okay. The overhead tank, for smaller capacities like 1000 liters or 2000 liters, you can go with plastic tanks also, because this is a food grade plastic what they are using it, and you will be getting in the market 2-layer, 3-layer tanks. Okay, that is a food grade plastic what they are using it. You can easily use that, and we always prefer for an RCC tanks with the like tiling or the smooth finishes inside the tanks.
Okay.
For a project.
Okay, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
There is one question which is raised in the chat box, Mr. Arun. Sir, can you briefly explain about the consideration of stormwater drainage system of green roofs? Okay, fine. See, as I said, there will be an like projects you will be having with a green, and also as I said, you have to collect that rainwater to the tank. When you have a green, you can't collect this water into the tank because you will be using some kind of like chemicals to grow these plants. So that particular water you can't collect it. So how to do the drainage for this? I will first explain you. See, generally we prefer to have a double slab system for this. If it is happening at I'm imagining the question which is raised like in the residential or wherever in the terrace you want to have it in green. Okay, so I always prefer to go with a double slab system. That means you will be having a terrace slab, so the landscape will not directly happening from the landscape terrace. You will be having one more slab there. You will be having a filling and you will be growing the landscape. So from there, generally what we will do is we will be having a drainage cell below that in the slab. So after that, there will be an geofabric sheet, and then you will be having your filling. So whatever the water which is percolates within that, it will slowly come out, so that whatever the void is there, that particular void we will be using it for taking out the pipes, and we will be discharging that water to the external drain. We will not be collecting this into the stormwater drain. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Sir, I had a question regarding the solid waste management system that you were talking about. You were talking about a standard garbage chute, which is, you know, mostly set in an apartment system that we generally provide. But the key to this is that the waste has to be segregated into dry and wet at the residence level itself.
Yeah, yeah.
And they have to use the garbage chute for, like, like I live in an apartment where there's a very simple single, you know, garbage chute. You just have to put across your you know, waste in a bag, and you just have to send it across. So we practically did not, I clearly remember we were not segregating our waste. Everything was being put into a single cover. The only instruction we were given is that don't put it directly from the waste bin into the garbage chute, because we had a chamber at the bottom. That's what I remember. And there used to be these people who used to collect it from there would be a big door at the bottom. They open the door and then they take out the waste from there. So now I was very curious, because you had this garbage chute system where there is a, you know, two-way channel. There is one for the dry garbage and there is one for the wet garbage. So
yeah, I will answer. See, earlier, yes, whatever you are saying, no, that was the technology what was using earlier. When there is a problem, the main problem which has happened in many of the cities of the garbage, then they have made it like this is the. Sir, can you mute? I am getting my voice.
Oh, yes, sorry. Really sorry.
Okay. When all these problems which has happened in the like municipal level, they have made an mandatory saying that okay, I'm not collecting your waste. You have to reuse it within your thing. Earlier also it was there, but it was not taken that much of seriously. So when those kind of things which is introduced, so then there is no other option. We have to segregate. So even garbage chute manufacturer also, they had only one single chute. So now it is changed. Now if any installations you go, it will be having like a dual whatever you are seeing here, no? So there will be a one wheel, it will be there, which will be linked with every floor. We will be having this openable mouth. Okay, so in this openable mouth, you have to press whether you are using that organic or inorganic. So when you press that, automatically it will like open up this if it isn't dry, it will close this if it isn't wet. So this is the technology which is available now, and this is what is permitted now. You can't install in a single like the pipeline kind of a chute now. That is not recommended now.
Yeah. So this has an electricity connection as well. What I understand from this, if the wheel has to be operated, it is, you know, it is using electricity, and it is got a proper, you know, monitoring. And I just wanted to know, because I'm curious about this, it also has a you know, monitoring system. When the bin is full, there's an indication to the system that the bin is full and it has to be changed, or it is done manually.
That particular thing is not available. Only thing, this will take care of just an like segregating into wet and dry. That bin storage and all, it should be manually. It has to be looked into.
Yeah, thank you for that.
Yeah, I will go to the next the question, which is asked by Febin. How could you calculate the required water for firefighting facility for the building? Is it related to the number of peoples or the area of the building? I thought it was already explained by my colleague, so that was the reason I have not like considered that in my presentation for fire. Fire, which is the calculation will be based on the area only. Every 1,000 square meter of area, I'm just going for a commercial building. Every 1,000 square meter of area, we have to have one wet riser. It's called FHC, fire hose rail cabinet. Okay, so the amount of the storage is calculated in two aspects. One is the pumping capacity of the firefighting equipment, and it has to fight the water has to supply for minimum 45 minutes. So that is how the calculation is going to happen, and also number of the wet risers. So that is how the firefighting will be designed. The tank will be designed. Okay. There is a next question from Arun. Do we need to treat the surface stormwater if we are using bioswales for collecting the runoff before it goes to the storage facility? Yes, it has to be. It has to be treated. See, treating the surface water, practically we are facing some problems. Okay, the treatment means we can treat up to one extent. That means we can take out the sediments, we can take out the oil and grease, but taking out the impurities, okay, like there will be some kind of as I said, you will be using some of the chemicals to grow the plants and all. So taking out those, it is a difficult task. So generally what we prefer is, if you want to collect and reuse it, we say you collect this, you make one kind of a pond and you collect the stormwater drainage. Don't reuse this stormwater drainage for any application, because you will be having an STP treated water, which you have to mandatorily reuse that. Okay. If there is no STP treated water also available, then it is an ideal situation where you can store this in ponds, and from there you can directly use it for your landscape. Okay, so that water again it will come back to the pond and again you can use it. Okay, that is the one way of reusing it. Other ways, make a pond so that it will look good also aesthetically, and also it will evaporate within your premises. So you are not discharging out the water to the municipal drain. Hope I have answered Arun question. There is one more question from Mr. Varun. Can the UGT be placed below the basement parking levels? Okay, if you have like 2 or 3 basements, okay, earlier the people used to do, they will go further down. That means if you have 3 basements also, they will go further down and they will keep this UGSM in the pump rooms. There is a problem which has happened almost, I can say, I think if I'm not wrong, 3 to 4 years back. The Chennai, there is a huge flood which has happened in the Chennai, and many of the commercial buildings are shut because their pump rooms are all vanished. Okay, so now the people's even the authority had made especially in Chennai, authority straight away made an thing saying that firefighting things, you should not keep it below the ground level. You have to keep it above the ground only. They have like other areas, we are going for a basement, but in the Chennai, if I have to design the building, they are saying no, you keep it at the above the ground level, reservoir you do it. That is how it is coming up, but finally they accepted to do it for even for the upper basement level. That means if you have 2 to 3 basements, this pump room, the tank and the pump room should happen at the upper basement level only, because of to avoid this any kind of a flooding. If it is happened, there should not be any problem with the water, because without that water you can't even stay for a day. Okay, so when this kind of a filtration unit, even the tank is completely submerged with dirty water, the cleaning of that water tank, again replacing that filters, replacing that pump equipments, everything, it will take minimum 1 to 1.5 months. So if 1 month, if there is no water available, no building can survive. So that is the reason even the clients also came to know after this flooding issues and all, they also came to know, yes, this is really making an problematic. So now most of the projects we are planning the UGSM and the pump room at the basement 1 level. I can say uppermost basement level.
Sir, good morning, sir. Yeah, this is Prabhu. Sir, I have 2 questions, sir. The first question is there a minimum, pipe slope ratio from the bottom of the building till the STP? waste pipeline to
Yeah,
determine
it
the
is.
depth of the STP?
Yeah, it is there. See, the slope ratio, it will vary for different type of pipes. That means if I have an plastic pipe, the smooth surface will be there and the slope ratio is required less. And also it depends on how much flow is there, and also it depends on how much diameter you are giving it. Okay. So generally we use in the projects, we use 160 to 200 dia pipes, and we follow the slope from 150 to 1:200 slope. So this is what we follow. Yes, it is having its own calculation.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Sir, second question is,
Yeah.
while designing hospitals and medical facilities, we provide a lot of medical garbage chutes. If in case, they are planned horizontal manner, in
Yeah.
case we have a lot of, different chutes, is it possible for us to, supply one particular vacuum suction and take it from different pipelines?
Yes, it is possible, but it's very, very, very costlier thing right now. Okay, as I already showed you that vacuum waste collection system. Okay, which is having this kind of a potential to take out even from the building level also. Okay, but it is it calls for an very big cost.
Okay, sir.
So this is what it is. Okay, if you look at this, this is the pipe network what is required. Okay, you can have this pipe network, even this pipes based on the requirement, we can conceal it within the slabs also. Okay, but that is what it's having very big cost impact.
Okay, sir. Thank you, sir.
Any other questions in the chat box? I'm not seeing any questions.
Students, any other questions? Yeah, sorry, sir.
I just had a concern. So you're talking about the treatment of water in a large project. So I just want to know, are we like in India, are we moving towards constructed wetlands as part of the large site? In case we have large sites like townships, are we going for constructed wetlands as one of the initiatives? Is that being explored right now in India? Like, you are directly from the field, you can tell us as well.
Sir, there are some projects what we have seen, especially the institutes, I can say, okay, are in government, a few of the government buildings where they have huge land and they have very small buildings. Okay, there we have seen this wet lands. But when you come to the private segment of the projects, it's not happening it, because even inch of land also they are using it. Okay, and these wetlands are required huge space. Okay, because it's naturally the process which is happening it. You are not pumping any the chemicals or nothing. You are doing it. You are putting some of the plants where the plants will going to take out that solid and it will give the clear water. So those things, yes, it is happening in few of the government projects and few of the institute projects, sir, not in the private segment.
Thank you for that. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. This is Lakshmi Priya. Sir, I have one small question. Maybe you can give a small brief about a desalination plant and how we can use it in a huge community projects. Most of the developed countries are coming up with these challenges of using desalination plants as a mandatory system in the overall community livings. But in India, it's not even mandatory, but as a climate independent water source, they may be jumping into desalination plant very soon. So can you give us a small brief? How can we use it? How can we place the desalination plants in our site for our students?
Okay. This desalination plants, yes, nowadays we are seeing it, like there are the small kind of a plants also the people are talking about nowadays. Okay, but earlier or I can say that even till today the plants which is available isn't very huge in quantity. Okay, and we have also seen in a few of like the small plants, but it's having its own problems, or what we have seen. But recently, even I was going through one of the journal. So in the Israel, they have developed this kind of desalination plants, even if for a small applications also. But in India, yes, it is not an that much of a prominent even till today, because in India, I can say even till today we are not really bothered about the water. The water, whatever the water we are having it, we are not bothered about till today. Like even the cost also, the water what we are getting, the cost, it's very cheap cost we are getting on water. Okay, so that is where I'm seeing a lot of innovations which is not happening, and because of that reason these costs are not reducing it. Okay, if there is an the manufacturer plants increased, if the usage is increased, definitely the cost will come down. Because of this reason, it is not happening in India. Few of the places we have also seen in like the large campuses, we have seen this desalination plants, but unfortunately that is not working out right now because of some other issues. Right now we are all concentrating about the filtration system only for the groundwater. The seawater still that kind of like R&Ds are very less in India. That is what I can say. Only for groundwater we are targeting this kind of things. Even if you look at the Chennai and all other the Kolkata, all this thing, you will be having iron content, more iron content in the water. So there we will be like concentrating of removal of this iron or magnesium or other things. But seawater, yes, it is available, but right now it's very costly thing which is there.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. Before conclusion, I would request some of our students and some of our faculties to switch on their camera, because it will be an honor for us to have a photograph with our speaker today. So I would request them to switch on the cameras. If it were an offline lecture, it would have been easy. We would have easily, stood along with Prasad sir and we could have taken a photograph. But it's a virtual session, so I will request all the faculties and students to kind of switch on their cameras, and we can have a quick photograph and kind of a record for this particular event, that we had this wonderful session by Prasad sir here in our college.
I think there is one more question which is there from Shama. Is underground drainage system is possible at a beach site? Does it depend on type of soil? Yeah, underground drainage system, it's a difficult thing in beach sites because you all know that there was an very like even in feet levels also you will be getting in water. Okay, so there the underground drainage system is not possible. Even the recharge pits are not possible. We don't prefer to have the recharge pits also in those locations.
I would request, if there are any more questions, they can be addressed immediately.
Guys, are there any other questions? Now, I call upon Dr. Sanil Kumar, our head of the department, to deliver the vote of thanks.
First of all, I would wish all of you a very good noon, and it's a very wonderful day that we had a wonderful speaker. So it's my pleasure to thank our speaker for the day, Mr. Prasad, for gracing us with his presence and enlightening us about the process of understanding public health engineering. So whenever we are talking about plumbing, this is one thing that we immediately start thinking of the pipes, and this is what every architect starts getting into. They get into a corner and they think about these pipes. But it was good that Prasad sir gave us the whole picture, and he gave us the picture from micro to macro. Like, it was a very informative session. So I thank you, sir. Like, you are a really busy man, we know, but you've taken time out for us, and we also thank your organization Design Tree for being in this initiative with us, and giving us this benefit of this knowledge. And today, as usual, the attendance has been 100 plus. We've always had good numbers, and students have been very appreciative of this particular sessions which are happening. Even if it's a Sunday, we all have our faculties, we all have our students who are listening to this and who are gaining knowledge every day. So I thank you, sir, and I thank your organization Design Tree. I also thank our our team, including our dean, Professor Vani and Professor Jaipriya Gopinath, and their team for organizing this particular event, and all the student volunteers who have been part of this. We also thank our webinar participants who have been showing extraordinary enthusiasm, and we are now getting more inquiries. We are also finding that there are more students, friends of friends, who are now wanting to be part of this event. So I appreciate this information and this knowledge to be spread around, and I thank you all for being a part of this, and I thank all of you and wish you a very good weekend, a happy Sunday. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Prasad. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.